one's a 1.5 old and the other one's 3.5-year-old. They could take an iPad and they could hit the buttons on it to play the things they want to play. They can operate that better than I can. When something goes haywire and they lose the picture, they know what button to press to get the image back. I don't know how to do that. If I have to do it, I got to start all over from the beginning. It's not worth it for me to. I lose patience with that. And we're talking about a generation that if a state or the national government, first of all, this is not a states' rights issue, as the proponents would have us believe, because the internet is all over the country. It's in every home. There's no place that the internet doesn't exist, doesn't operate. So it's an over the state, cross-border issue. This is not a states' rights issue. The argument that they make about, well, you could regulate it. I've talked to regulators here in this state, and I've said to them, tell me one regulation that we live by in the land-based gaming that you can enforce on internet gaming. They couldn't come up with one. I'll ask you, can you come up with one idea? One thing that they can enforce?
They can enforce the ID verification process.
But the ID verification process, it's like my 3.5 or 1.5-year-old grandchildren, they get around anything. I have 2 teenagers, 15.5, 17.5. They can do anything on the computer. They could do wheelies. They could burn rubber on their iPhone. You mean to tell me that they can't get around it? What about mine taken like this? I'm going to register. Here's all the buttons. Okay, am I registered? Okay, I can play now. Good. All right, here's something. What about that?
Well, that's entirely possible, but
not possible. It's likely. Look, how many kids? We have over $1 trillion of student debt. I know kids that I was just inducted as an honorary brother at AEPI, and I've talked to a lot of the kids. All one kid has to do in college, of age, they say to the other, you know, I made $300 last night on playing in poker. You think that they're not going to put peer pressure on somebody? What is the purpose of putting a casino in the hands of every single person in the United States?
But it's already in their hands.
No, it's not already in their hands. If the federal government would enforce the law, if we can reinstate the Wire Act, and the government will enforce the law, the attorneys general have not enforced the law that they're supposed to enforce, that says that if the foreign operators operate on the internet, all they have to do is close them down. They did it on a Black Friday several years ago. And by the way, one of the companies, they picked up PokerStars that I think acquired Full Tilt. Both of them were picked up as criminals. They settled with the government, and now they're trying to get back into New Jersey. Look, they're essentially lawbreakers. It's the same organization, just a different shareholder. So it's the same people that are doing it. Look, I come from a very poor family. The best you could say about the homes that we lived in, that I call the slums, is that it was a very crowded tenement. That's what we lived in. My parents were very poor. My father had a 6th grade education in Lithuania and left there at 12 years old. Came to the States. Had no skill, no education. I think he learned the 6th grade in either Lithuanian or whatever language they spoke there. Could have been Russian, could have been Polish, I don't know. And he was poor, but he liked to gamble. He would go to Suffolk Downs with whatever spare money he had to get a job as a cab driver. And he'd like to go gamble. I can't say that my dad was addicted. I don't know, and I couldn't have assessed it at the time, nor can I look back now and say for sure that he was or wasn't. But I knew that he liked to gamble. He would go when he retired. They moved down to Florida. They go to the Hialeah or some track in the daytime. In the nighttime, they go to either Highlight or the Dogs. They would, with their friends, they would bet on any number they could find. The treasury numbers, the Irish sweepstakes, any kind of numbers they would find. And they would bet on it daily. I saw the cost of a family immersion into losing money on gaming. When you're on the internet, you cannot know your customer.
You do know your customer. You know your customer better on the internet than you do in person. You can have anybody walk up to the table here in this hotel, and you're not going to card them and find out who they are.
I could have a 12-year-old kid, 14-year-old kid could come up here and play. I wouldn't be in business for a very long time. It would cut my business short. You cannot know your customer on the internet. Look, I'm the largest company by market cap by far in the industry. I think my market cap is equal to or exceeds that of all the other U.S. companies combined. If I saw that there was, to me, it's a matter of principle. I don't want it because I was raised in a family that suffered from the scourges of uncontrolled gaming. And I am absolutely certain, raising at my age 2 teenage kids, and I see how they easily get addicted to the, one boy plays all the games, my younger boy loves basketball and soccer, so he plays all these on television. You can't get away from it. My older boy loves to shoot. A skeet shooter, he takes weapons apart, does all the shooting programs on TV for hours. Somebody cannot tell me that kids aren't going to find their way around whatever voter, whatever user identification is. What is the compelling reason to put a casino in 318 million people's pockets? Is there a rationale?
Well, the rationale is that they're doing it already.
No, that's not the rationale. Well, then why don't we legalize prostitution? Why don't we legalize cocaine and heroin and all that? They're doing it anyway. So that's not a good reason to say, well, they're doing it anyway. So we gotta listen. My wife, of whom I'm exceedingly proud, is a physician. She started off as an internist and an emergency room doctor in her home country of Israel. She came here to this before I met her. She worked in the laboratory for the biology of addictive diseases in Rockefeller University, on which faculty she still sits. She set up 3 drug abuse treatment and research clinics. One is here in Las Vegas, one is in Israel, and one she set up in Macau. It's run by the health ministry. She didn't want to make it one of our clinics. It's all nonprofit, of course. And it's philanthropic. There's not one patient there that didn't start smoking marijuana. I lost a son from my first marriage to a drug overdose because he started with marijuana. To me, these issues of marijuana and internet gaming are principled societal issues. They shouldn't take place. Simply because they're doing it anyway, you want to legalize it? It's ridiculous. You could legalize all the vices that there are. And how can you say, Roger, that you can identify somebody? When I just gave you the example of somebody checking in and then giving the phone to an underage or an of-age kid, whatever, how can you say who's playing? There's no way you could do that. And any kid will get around this in a heartbeat. It won't take them long because these kids have grown up on these electronic devices. So there's no protection, and there's no reason to do this. Why? Because one of our colleagues in the industry has a brand that they think is going to save their company. It isn't going to happen. First of all, it's going to take years to build up. Vis-a-vis what we see going on in Nevada, Delaware, and New Jersey. They took in several $1 million a month. Why, any one of us do that in minutes in one of our casinos. Particularly those that Steve and I operate in Macau. And if Steve got into Singapore or one of the emerging markets there, you could do $10 million in business in 10 minutes.
Right.
So for the whole month, well, so far they've only, in the few months they've been open, I think 7 or 8 months, they've about 20 million gross in business, some small amount. Right. I see no benefit, and coming from a family, the working class family, less than working class people that are going to be exploited and going to be abused the most. I don't want those people to get abused, because when I look at people like that, I see the faces of my parents. And I don't want those people to be abused or to be exploited. We can make money, we do very well, making money by having somebody come in. We know that they're not flying high. They could be very high, out of control of themselves. And what are they going to do with the poker players that are expert at playing poker? They're just going to clean everybody out, like they do in the poker clubs and various casinos. I just don't see that there is any compelling reason to put a casino, an electronic casino, in 318 million hands. Why should one or two companies can try to bail themselves out with that?
Well, thank you for that. I wanted the audience to hear the passion that you bring to that subject that I heard 2 years ago for the first time, and we just heard it now. Thank you very much.